So I'm going to start by taking Tarte Shape Tape and putting it on my eyelid and around my eyes because I have really dark circles. You can use any eye primer that you want, but I use this one. And it's okay if it goes on your eyebrows. That's why I do them later. It took me a long time to figure that out. I started doing my eyebrows first, like when I first started my makeup. And then it would be so hard to put anything onto my eyelid because it would get in my eyebrows and just be a big mess. I'm just using a damp beauty blender. I can't even remember what brand this is. It's some random one that I found at a drugstore, but I really, really like it. It's got the flat side on it and the pointy side on the other end. And I just found that it works best for me. Some people use a brush here. I don't personally because I feel like Shape Tape gets really, really cakey if you use a brush versus something that's wet kind of helps blend it down, I guess would be the word. And next, we are going to take Scotch tape. You don't have to do this. Again, personally, I do. Just because it helps me get a nice clean line on the outer side of my eyes. If you're not comfortable, like you don't really know where to put it, the outer corner of your eyebrows is like a good solid line. That's how I had to start because I couldn't get them even on either eye. But if your eyebrows are relatively even, then they come out in the same place. And now we're going to take the Jaclyn Hill palette from Morphe. And this is my all-time favorite palette. I use it every single day for natural and bold looks. It's my go-to. And this is a blending brush from Essence. It's really, really big. So a lot of people say that they can't use it, but I find it works best for me for applying a big color such as my transition shade or blending out like my top line. So I'm going to take this middle color right here for my transition shade and just kind of dab it on there. And then I always knock off the excess. And then just start blending it into my transition area. What I really like about this brush is it doesn't pick up a lot, so you have time to go back over and over and keep applying so it doesn't get too dark too fast. You can just kind of work with it and make it do what you want. And then, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, just on there. And then I'm going to do the other eye. In the exact same way. I'm blending all the way out to the tape so that I do get that clean line. Windshield wiper, little circles, I do them all. I don't really have a set way that I blend stuff. My eyelids are in a little bit of a funny shape. They always have been, so it's really hard for me not to get this really, really straight line in here because my eyelids are so hooded you can't really see anything unless I bring it up pretty far. So it takes me a little bit, this is probably the longest, is blending stuff into my crease. Okay, and then we are going to take another brush. This one, I can't even remember what brand it is. I got it at TJ Maxx, I think, on sale. It's just a little brush like this. Little round, not too big. Kind of more densely packed than a blending brush. And I'm going to dip it into this color right here. And just kind of coat the brush in it and knock off the excess. Something I really like about the Jaclyn Hill palette is you don't get a lot of fallout from it, so it lasts a lot longer and it's much cleaner than most brushes. And I'm just going to start blending that in right where our transition shade was, but a little bit lower. Like I still want to be able to see that transition shade just a little bit. By the way, I'm really sorry if my lighting is going in and out. This is my first video, so I don't have a very great setup right now. I just kind of decided to wing it today. And I'm bringing that all the way in and then just fanning it up just a little bit. See how it's darker out here than it is in here? That's what you really want. So you want to start applying here and get it heavier here and then bring it inward. And then do the same to the other eye. Okay, so once they look relatively even, mostly even, we're going to go back in with the Essence brush and dip it in our transition shade again and knock off the excess, and then just use it to blend out that blue kind of upwards so you don't get such a hard line of it. You want it to look more smoked in as opposed to just a big straight line. I have to use the lightest skin tone in the palette for my transition shade, but obviously if you're darker skinned, do whatever looks best on you. And then taking the same brush, I'm dipping back into the blue that we just used and just kind of using it to blend up some. So see, it has a much more smoked in look now as opposed, can you see that? So now we're gonna go in with this is from the same brand as the last one. It's just a little flat brush. It's kind of angled, it doesn't really matter, just anything that's flat on the side. And I'm going to wet that a little bit. And once it's, you know, not dripping wet but still damp, we're going to take this bottom color right here and coat both sides of the brush with it. And the top. And then just apply this to the lid only. Gonna be sure and really get in that crease right there so that your entire lid is coated, but you don't go into your crease color. Coming all the way to the inner corner. And then do the same to the other eye. So at the bottom of my crease, there's a little bitty line in between them, and it's okay, there's no need to panic. I'm just taking that round brush that we used to apply the first blue color and going back over that again. Just being really careful not to get it on my lid this time. You just want to make sure they really connect and you don't have a big bald spot in your eyeshadow. I like to go up kind of far with mine on my, almost to my brow bone, I guess, because I don't know, it just looks better with my eye shape. You don't have to go up this high if you don't want to, but personally it's what I do. Okay, so now that this is our look, it just looks like a lot of blue. So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna start with this middle color right here, and it is called Enchanted, and just dip the essence blending brush into it all around and knock off the excess. And then starting on the outer line, like right next to the tape, I'm going to start slowly blending that inward. Just a little bit on the lid, like you just want it on the outer corner, but more on your top color. But you don't want to go all the way across or even halfway with it, just a little tiny bit. And do the same to the other eye. So now this is our look, and it's starting to look a little bit better, but Enchanted is still more of a blue shade. So I'm going to take the same blending brush and barely dip it into the side of the black, like just barely one little side, and then I'm going to knock it off a lot because you do not want too much black to blend inward, because we're going to be using the same brush to blend again. So just barely, I don't put this one on my lid, just on my top color, and then blend it in just slightly. Not as far as the Enchanted went, like you want that to be your transition between the teal color, Enchanted, and then the black. You always want to make sure you don't jump from one color straight to another with a hard line. If you do that, that's fine. Just personally, it doesn't look right on me. So now I'm going to take the same brush and wipe it off a little bit to where it's relatively clean, no more shadow on it. And then starting on the outer side, I'm just going to blend inward. This isn't really blending colors, this is just blending them up so that way we don't have that hard line. I don't know if you guys can see this color, but I absolutely love it. This is my go-to look if I'm wanting something bold. I usually don't do bold, really. I'm more of a brown, smoky, natural bronze, gold person. But when I am feeling brave, this is my favorite. Okay, so now we're going to take the tape off. And this is what we get.